If you are someone like me, you've been struggling to start the day with the same sort of intention you had a few weeks ago. While it seems like we have more time on our hands than ever before, it is possible that you find yourself mindlessly going about your daily routines and unsure about whether you have made any progress on a personal and/or professional level. Fortunately, great thinkers of the past have provided us with time-tested strategies to start our mornings. This video will focus on what some of the most notable ancient Stoic philosophers said about developing a heightened sense of purpose during the first few minutes of waking up. While we may think grabbing something to eat or showering is a good way to start the morning, the Stoics recommend that we should start each day in reflection. Let's begin with the Roman philosopher Epictetus. Epictetus advises us to ponder the following 3 questions after waking up. Number 1. What do I still lack in order to achieve freedom from passion? Number 2. What to achieve tranquility? Number 3. What am I? The first question Epictetus mentions forces us to think about what we still lack in order to achieve freedom from our negative emotions. It is a way to reflect on our shortcomings and be open to the fact that we are not perfect people. Maybe we are not patient, or we get angry very easily. Thinking about our limitations helps us to be less judgmental of others because we come to understand that we too possess flaws. The second question gets us to ask what we need to do in order to achieve inner peace. We can't just assume that we will remain tranquil with no effort. We may need to be more indifferent to what other people say about us, or take time during the day to be quiet and still. Having a plan in place allows us to be more proactive than reactive during moments of difficulty. Maybe you could tell yourself to focus on your breathing if you become overwhelmed. After all, deep breathing is one of the best ways to lower stress in the body. Something else you could do is think about how a role model of yours would respond in the same situation to maintain tranquility. A role model can come in the form of a close friend, relative, fictional character, or a historical figure, and should excel in whatever aspect you'd like to improve. The Stoics believed having this role model in mind each morning could help familiarize oneself with the person's traits in case they need to be referred to later on in the day. While the first 2 questions may appear fairly straightforward, the last one is a bit vague and may need some clarification. Instead of asking ourselves who we are each morning, something that is fairly abstract and can take years to answer, Epictetus advises us to ask, "What am I?" a question that leads us to reminding ourselves that we are rational beings. As rational beings, the Stoics believed we have a duty to avoid obsessing over our desires, property, and reputation. Instead, unlike non-human animals, we have the capacity to forego immediate pleasure and pursue goals that provide us with a sense of meaning. Even if the path to get there is difficult, we have the ability to embrace the process and put in the work on a daily basis. By reminding ourselves that we have this capability, we will be fearful in the face of any creative challenge. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius includes a similar piece of advice in his Meditations. He says that at daybreak, if we are reluctant to leave our bed, we should tell ourselves that we are getting up to do a human being's work. Marcus is echoing the same sentiment that Epictetus does in his third question by reminding us that we should not only feel grateful for being alive, but also for being able to think and accomplish tasks that other living beings cannot do. Marcus also mentions that we must be prepared to meet challenging people throughout the day. In one of the most widely quoted passages, he reminds himself that, quote, "When you first rise in the morning, tell yourself, I will encounter busybodies, ingrates, egomaniacs, liars, the jealous and cranks. They are all stricken with these afflictions because they don't know the difference between good and evil." Marcus is focusing his morning preparation on living in harmony with those he will encounter. saying to himself that in the day ahead, there is no doubt that he will come across meddling and ungrateful people. This affirmation is an exercise that allows him to anticipate the worst that could happen as if it was inevitable. This practice is an example of negative visualization, a process that involves imagining what you believe to be the worst-case scenario that could arise from a particular event and learning to be okay with the outcome. Marcus goes on to tell himself that these people are acting this way because they lack wisdom, and that he should not be hurt by what they do or say because they don't know any better. He is not trying to be arrogant here, but instead be more understanding to those that wrong him. While going through these morning precepts, Marcus suggests to undertake the ancient Pythagorean practice of walking in solitude to a quiet place at daybreak and meditate upon the stars and the rising sun. Doing so allows one to be away from distractions while contemplating the day ahead. This may be hard to do in the morning, so finding a substitute location could work, such as in the living room or on the front porch. Another important exercise to prepare for the day ahead is to recall our mortality. The philosopher Seneca calls this memento mori, which means to remember that you are mortal. He says that we should remind ourselves of the impertinence of things each morning by saying that, quote, "The wise will start each day with the thought, 'Fortune gives us nothing which we could really own.' Nothing, whether public or private, is stable." Here, Seneca is reminding us how any of our possessions, including our reputation, can be taken away within a matter of seconds. We should not be surprised if we lose things because nothing lasts forever. This is an exercise in gratitude, one that gets us to stop taking things for granted and be more aware of what we want to spend our time on. Contemplating death also helps to internalize the idea that death is a natural and inevitable process. A University of Kentucky study found that we think that thinking about death will make us less happy, but in fact, it makes us more happy. Doing this every morning will help us realize that our life is a gift and that we should strive to live our highest selves in every moment. It is a way for us not to continue going on autopilot, but appreciate not just the big things, but the little things in life, since they could disappear in an instant. If you want to bring more clarity to your mornings, try incorporating any of the mentioned Stoic exercises during the first 5 to 10 minutes of the day. You could complete them in the form of a little pep talk or writing your responses in a journal. What matters is not how we do it, but that it is consistent so that, when met with difficulties throughout the day, we will know how to remain calm, resilient, and patient. Thanks for watching.